Hi everyone, it's Carolyn here with Cello Discovery. Today I want to talk to you about hand blocking and what that is and why it's important for you. So what hand blocking is when you're first learning how to play, it's about getting your hand in the right position, all the fingers over the notes where they're supposed to be in that first position. It's learning where those notes are and keeping your hand there. To start with, you have to learn the hand position. So whether or not you're using tapes, some teachers start their students with tapes, others do not. Your fingers need to know the spacing between every note. And in order to learn that hand position, you need to block your hand. And what that means is every finger is down that can be down. So if you're playing a note with the fourth finger, that means fourth, third, second, and first are all pressing into the fingerboard. If you play a third finger, that means you just lift fourth finger and 3, 2, and 1 are down. If you're playing second finger, 3 and 4 are up, 1 and 2 are down. And then of course, 1 is independent. But that's hand blocking, and that's what that means to get your hand blocked and keeping it in the position so that you're just lifting the finger that you need to and no other finger. So it really teaches you proper hand position. The second thing is intonation. It's the lifelong struggle of learning proper intonation. And so one of the things that you can do from the very beginning is learn the proper hand position so that you can play in tune. If you are using what we call independent fingers, which is one finger at a time, it's very easy to lose your hand position and to place the finger back down again in a spot that's not exactly the right pitch. So you will get much better intonation if you start by blocking your hand and teaching your hand this is where the fingers go. So the next thing is about finger independence and strength, and you're actually strengthening your hand muscles in here when you block your hand position. Eventually you're going to be doing some extensions and some different hand positions, but you need to know where the home keys are, the home base is, and keeping your hand in this position gives you the strength and the dexterity to be able to move around properly at this point. If you learn independent fingers at first, it's very hard to know what's the right hand shape when you move in and out of that first hand position. And the fourth reason is it helps you avoid some tension in your hand. When you're first starting out, it's easy to form a lot of tension in the hand. That's a very common issue for beginners, mainly because there's a lot of squeezing with the thumb. It's a lot of pressure that people are putting into this. Your hand needs to learn that the weight comes from above and it's not a squeezing. Independent fingers feel a little bit unsettled at this point, but when you have all fingers down on the fingerboard, you can definitely get that sensation of pushing the strings towards you or down in this direction. So it does help with tension. And the next thing, and it's the thing that I feel like it's the most important thing of all, is that it sets you up for proper shifting in the future. Later on, you're going to be moving your hand into different spots on the fingerboard, and that's what we call shifting. And when you learn hand position and proper hand position, it will help you understand all the notes, as Rick Mooney says, in that village. And so when you're learning hand position right here, you're learning all the first position notes in that village. If you're learning how to shift to fourth position and you're blocking your hand like this, you understand where all the notes are in that hand position. Versus some people who have a really good ear, they're going to go from one note to another. They're not really thinking about hand position, blocking that hand in the right shape, and they're just simply using their ear to find a note with a random finger. But when you block your hand in a position, you get your hand in that position and you learn the notes in that spot. And so that's really important to do. Eventually, after you've learned to shift up maybe fourth position, third, the second positions, you're going to eventually start to use some vibrato. That's at the point when your hand understands the different blocking, the different positions, and you can start lifting and using an independent finger so that you can start the process of learning how to use vibrato. But that doesn't come until later. So practice blocking your hand and learning those hand positions right from the very beginning. Now, part 2 to this is what can you do to train your hand to block your hand. So there's an old Kosman study that a lot of us learned years ago. The Kosman studies are kind of a well-known exercises for left hand dexterity and independence, but they can be a little dangerous on your hand because there's a lot of repetitive movements that can put stress in your hand. But there's one in particular that I think is very helpful for teaching your hand how to block. And here is the exercise. You're going to start with first finger. This is in first position. And then you're going to go directly to fourth finger. So you're going to do 1, 4, 3, 4. So you start with first finger, and then when you put fourth finger down, everything from 4 back is going to be in place. When you go to third finger, you just simply lift 4. You don't lift all the fingers. You just lift 4 so that you're at 3. You go back to 4 and then 1. So it's 1, 4, 3, 4, and you do it again, 1, 4, 3, 4. So the goal is that you do that 4 times. I would suggest you do it fairly slowly. Your fingers might take a little bit of time to learn which ones are supposed to go down and which ones stay up. So a nice slur 4 notes together. Then you do it again. The second part of this, you go 1, first finger, and then 4th finger, and then 2nd finger. So when you go to 2nd finger, you're lifting 3rd and 4th, but you're keeping 1st and 2nd down. So it's this 1, 4, 2, 4. And the third one is 1, 3, 2, 3. So you put all 3 fingers down, you lift just the 3rd, and then put the 3rd back down. So it's 1, 3, 2, 3. My finger wants to lift up because I'm used to using independent fingers, but that's going to train your hand position in first position. And you can do this in any hand position. If you're learning 4th, any string, any hand position. So if you do that relatively slow so that you teach your fingers, that's going to be a great exercise to get your hand learning the proper hand position and blocking, which is what you need to do to become a better player.